Hey, it's Ev. So this is the second part of my 3 years on T video. I did another one that was about my physical changes, and this is more about my social and emotional changes. It's a bit late because basically all of my master's deadlines are in January, so I've meant to have been doing work most of the time. I've just been putting off doing work but couldn't justify making videos when I'm not doing my work. But yeah, I thought I might as well make this now because I have a new t-shirt and I can't exactly wear it out anywhere, so just realised it has toothpaste on it. So please ignore that. Oh, also, I got a perm and I look a bit like broccoli. It was already like a bluey green when I had it done, so it's not just that the perm lotion made it go green. So yeah, this is about my social and emotional changes, being 3 years on testosterone, but a lot of them have more to do with changes because of being seen in society as a guy, but that's directly linked to me being on testosterone and having facial hair. Pretty much my beard is what makes me pass as male. So yeah, firstly I want to talk about my voice. It dropped mostly from being like 8 months on T to 1 year on T. Physically, I do not think it's dropped since then, but I think I've got more used to speaking like this and more used to being seen in society as a man, and I think it's more consistent now. I think I've naturally started speaking from my chest a bit more, which has never been an intentional thing. I have had people over the years comment saying, why hasn't your voice dropped? Why don't you try and make it sound like your voice has dropped? Why don't you speak from your chest? You're speaking from your nose too much. You're like all this stuff. I just think what I want to say, I speak and it comes out however it comes out. I don't have any issue with other people doing it, but for me personally, the thought of me intentionally trying to make my voice sound manly and caring what it sounds like, that makes me cringe. I'd rather just speak however I speak. And I know that it has dropped because I could feel it dropping. I can hear the difference. I used that voice pitch tracker app. It's definitely dropped. I also speak quite softly and quietly, and I rarely put any power into my voice, which is probably why it doesn't sound like the most manly voice in the world, and I really don't care about that. I'm not gonna put effort into having my voice sound manly because I don't care. Also, you probably wouldn't go up to a 24-year-old cis man and tell him he needs to change how he talks so that he sounds more like a man and that he should speak from his chest if he's never mentioned being insecure about his voice. But yeah, before I came out, I had an issue for like 10 years of my life where people would see me as like a little boy, then realise I was a girl or a woman, and they would be extremely awkward about it. Like I would say my name, which was a feminine name, and they would say, oh, that's an unusual name for a boy, isn't it? And I'd be like, I'm a girl. And they'd realise that I really was a girl, and they'd be like, I'm sorry, I didn't think you were a boy. I didn't. You look extremely feminine. You look exactly like a woman, and I didn't just say you were a boy. Sorry. And it was very awkward. So as a defence mechanism to avoid awkward situations like that, I used to make my voice as high as I could when I was speaking to new people or like in public and stuff. And even after I came out and was like a year, 2 years on T, I naturally would still do that because it was just like ingrained in my brain to do that as like a defence mechanism. And yeah, now that I've been consistently passing as male in public, I'm used to being seen as a guy. I don't really do that anymore, I don't think. Obviously I don't go out much, but basically to sum up that part, I'm used to being seen as a guy. I'm used to my voice having dropped, and now it's more just consistent. And my voice sounding this way is 0% effort, and I don't have any intention of ever putting effort in to making my voice sound different because I don't care, and I do not want advice how to change what my voice sounds like, because who cares? It's not the manliest voice in the world, but it doesn't fucking matter. There are cis men that sound like this, and even when my testosterone levels were extremely high, way higher than most cis guys would ever have their testosterone levels, it didn't drop at all anymore, because being on testosterone gel for a year fully made it drop. Yeah, it's just a random myth that gel doesn't make your voice drop. It 100% did. So yeah, I pass more as male, and not having to worry about whether people are going to see me as male or female, and whether I'm going to be in a situation where I meet two new people and one of them thinks I'm a man, one of them thinks I'm a woman, and then they both realise that the other person thinks the other thing, and it gets extremely awkward. I don't really have to worry about that as much anymore, which is good, because situations like that were very awkward, and I have a lot of social anxiety anyway, so yeah. But if I shave, I would still have people thinking I'm a girl, which I'm fine with. At least I have like a little bit more control over it now. The thought of a random stranger thinking that I'm a woman doesn't really make me uncomfortable. It's just the awkward situations that come from that do. Even past being 2 years on T, when I'd like shaved completely, I was at uni, I'd gone into the men's toilets and I was just coming out, and there was a group of girls going into the girls' toilets, and one of them like stopped, looked at the sign of the door, looked at me having just walked out the men's, looked back, looked at her friends, and then said, and we were like 3 steps away from each other, like, and I had to wait for her to move so that I could walk past her down the hallway. And she just like pointed at me and said, "I thought that was a girl." Probably could have just kept that to yourself. But yeah, when I have a beard, the only time I would be seen as a woman is if like it's dark at night and stuff, because I'm like small and yeah, you can't really see my beard that well. When it's like just stubble, if I grow it longer, you probably can. Generally, my emotions on testosterone are a lot more stable. I haven't lost the ability to cry like a lot of people say they do. I haven't experienced anger, like, at all. I can't think of one time on testosterone I felt any anger, even when my levels were too high. I just feel like my emotional range is smaller, but I still can feel, I still can cry. Yeah. I've talked about this before, but I used to have like really intense emotional daydreams, like 24/7. And that's sort of like calmed down a bit now. Like my brain is still racing 24/7, but in a less emotional way. I was prepared to say that my sex drive had got more consistent, but then suddenly, like a month ago, it like shot up and then shot down and was like nothing for a week, and then now it's just gone back to normal, which is weird. My testosterone levels are now in range, as are my estrogen levels, and everything apparently is in range, but I don't know where they are because basically I'm not allowed my blood test results unless I see my GP about them, but I don't want to waste a GP appointment if I know that they're in healthy range anyway, so who knows. I had noticed that my lower dysphoria had slightly decreased, and I've become like a little bit more comfortable with what I have there. I think in the last year there might have been like a tiny bit more growth, and that might be why, but I'm still quite dysphoric about not having a dick. I'm not really that bothered about having a vagina physically, but I'm less comfortable like saying it and like joking around about it and stuff now, I think because again I'm seen as a male in public more consistently. I'm used to being seen as a guy, and it I don't know, I feel like it's more shocking to people, and that makes me more uncomfortable. Not that I was going around shouting about it anyway, but I mean just like with my friends and stuff. But yeah, I feel a little bit less disconnected to what I do have, and still feel dysphoric about what I don't have, if that makes sense. I'm still very interested in getting lower surgery. I'm still pursuing it. I wouldn't say I'm like 100%, but definitely very interested, and hopefully I'll be able to be referred by the end of this year. With the pandemic and everything, probably will be well over a year after my referral gets sent off that I even have like a consultation and stuff, because I know a lot of people have had their surgery cancelled. There's only one lower surgery team in the UK. So yeah, to be honest, I'm just going to assume it's going to be over 2 years after my referral is sent off, which will probably be the end of this year. And after that I will be discharged from the NHS Gender Identity Clinic in London, after only going there in person one time. Before testosterone, I did wonder if it would help my social anxiety and have an impact on my mental health. I think that my social anxiety is quite disconnected to my gender dysphoria, and that it's more connected to me being autistic, I think. So transitioning hasn't really changed that. There are certain situations, like I said, that I'm not as anxious about, but in general I still have social anxiety and don't expect that to go away. The thing that has improved is disassociating, or dissociating, whichever way you're meant to say that, and like not feeling like I'm actually in my body, feeling like I'm watching everything on a screen from like 6 miles away with a time lag underwater. Yeah, I don't feel like that much anymore. I only feel like that if I get really like overwhelmed and emotionally exhausted, because that's not like only connected to my gender dysphoria, but I think it was quite a lot, especially like being called a name I didn't feel like fit me, being seen in a way that I didn't feel like was me, like 24/7 for my entire life. And now, not only am I more happy with my body and it being more masculine and stuff, but other people are seeing me how I feel like I'm meant to be, so I'm not as disassociated anymore. And then depression is probably in the middle of those two. Like, I wouldn't say there's been no impact, but I wouldn't say there's been a huge impact either. Just kind of in the middle. Sorry for the lighting change, it took me until 4 o'clock to be bothered to get out of bed and start making this. So now I am seen as a guy in society. Society's standards of how men are meant to be are starting to impact me more. Only really recently a lot, because before, when I was kind of like seen as in the middle, like I was quite androgynous, and society wasn't really seeing me in one particular way. I didn't feel pressure to be how people want women to be or how people want men to be. I was just sort of felt in the middle, and now I'm seen as a man, I'm starting to feel societal pressures to be like how men are meant to be. Not all of the things, like I've had people comment saying, oh, I bet you don't even walk like a man. I don't care how I walk, or how I sit, or how I talk. A lot of things I don't give a fuck about. There are some things that I do care about, or not like I care hugely, but I'm just starting to feel like the pressure a little bit to be more how people say men should be. And I have like a lot of straight girlfriends, like pretty much all my friends are straight girls, and so I know that like the main ideal things for men to be is like tall, confident, have a penis. I don't have any of those things. And then like from social media and stuff, like a pressure to be more muscly and fit, which I'm also not, but that I probably could control. I'm lazy, so obviously I don't care that much, because if I did, I would change. it's not like to the point where it's upsetting me and getting me down. It's just that I'm starting to like notice that pressure and feel like it actually applies to me as well. Also, like a pressure to be like brave and not scared of things. And I see people saying a lot how men aren't scared to walk down the street on their own at night. I still feel very scared, like walking out in public at any time by myself. I feel like still vulnerable and like I'm an easy target, and I don't think me passing as a man like solves that. A lot of the time strangers are still like they'd still target me, and I think a lot of that has to do with me being small, weak and like shy and scared looking, so I'm an easy target. And then they will use other things, like in the past calling me a lesbian, making fun of my glasses, saying I'm short, about being gay, saying are you a man or a woman, stuff like that. But I think the reason that they're targeting me is because I seem like an easy target because I'm shy and weak. So yeah, passing as a man hasn't really changed that. Also, like, I was socialised as female, I grew up as female, so I did still live most of my life as a girl and a woman. And even now there is chance, especially in the dark, that strangers are going to think I'm a girl or a woman. And obviously I do have a lot of privileges, but passing as a man doesn't 100% make me confident to walk out at night time by myself. I'm still very scared because there are still a lot of other things that I would be targeted for. Okay, I have no idea when that cut out, but I was saying I sort of found my own style now and I know how to dress myself. I don't have like the best fashion sense in the world, but it's not as bad as it used to be. And like my presentation, like my beard, when I first started growing a beard, I would walk around with it looking like this. It was quite ugly, and yeah, as a kid, being put in girls' clothes which I wasn't comfortable with, and then wearing more like tomboy clothes which I preferred, but I still wasn't presenting exactly how I wanted. Then I realised I was a guy, and I started sort of experimenting more with other clothes. But then sometimes I would just wear things and I would just think, this looks like something a man would wear, even if it was really ugly. And a lot of times it was ugly. I wish I had more pictures of how I used to dress, but I would only post pictures if I like looked good. So most of the time, or I thought I looked good, most of the time I actually looked a lot worse than the ones I would post, obviously. I used to wear some really ugly clothes, and I had no idea of what was appropriate clothes to wear when, and that's probably also down to being autistic. But yeah, I've like gradually grown into my own style and care about my appearance, and I'm able to present myself better now. In terms of friendships, most of my friends are girls, mostly cishet girls, and yeah, I have a few male friends which are mostly online friends, but like 99% of my social circle, girls, and I feel like I fit in better with them. When I see like guys' social circles, I just can't imagine myself being like a part of that. Like I just wouldn't fit in at all, and yeah, that doesn't really make me uncomfortable. I don't really care. I feel like a lot of the time I probably am seen as one of the girls, and that also doesn't really make me uncomfortable. I'm happy I'd rather just be friends with who I'm friends with, and it doesn't really matter. Relationship-wise, I'm at the point where I would be more comfortable in a relationship now before I came out. It's the only relationship experience I've had, and it was very uncomfortable because I hadn't came out, and then I did, but I only just started transitioning. I wasn't that comfortable with my body and stuff. Now I'm at a place where I am quite comfortable with myself. I like the idea of being like a boyfriend, and I am used to being seen as a guy in society, and I don't think it would feel weird and uncomfortable. But now I have like zero dating experience as a guy. Actually, no, I've been on like 2 dates as a guy, but pretty much zero. Especially dating women as a guy, when before I was dating guys as a girl, so yeah. Hi, something I forgot to add in the video that I wanted to say was that I feel like now that I'm seen as a guy, there's more of an expectation for me to be loud and confident, and it's almost like it's less socially acceptable for me to be quiet and shy, and sometimes people can seem almost like confused by the fact that I'm shy and a man, which is interesting and weird. And another thing is that, and this isn't a bad thing at all, but very often people assume that I'm gay, and I think maybe that's because I was like socialised as female, and I'm a bit more like soft and gentle, and not like extremely masculine and stuff, and I think that's like stereotyped as being gay, and people can just probably tell there's something different about me, so they assume I'm gay, which I'm fine with, but I just thought that was an interesting point. That's about it. This video has got really long, and it's now dark outside, and so it's probably going to look really bad. Also, my camera cut out at one point, and I don't know how much it cut out, but yeah. I'm going to finish my uni work for my deadlines, and then I'm going to make my 3 years on T transition timeline video, which will be good, because the last one did really well.